Muslims claim that Muhammad can be found in Isaiah chapter 29, verse 12. But there's a couple things we need to keep in mind before we jump into this verse. The first thing is that Muslims claim that the Bible has been corrupted and therefore cannot be trusted, but they will readily go to the Bible in search of alleged contradictions or in a desperate hunt to find their prophet within our book, because their book says that Muhammad can be found in our book. But that's not the case. Now let's read Isaiah chapter 29, verse 12, and then I will do something that I have not personally seen any Muslim do. So, verse 12 says, "And if the document is given to one who cannot read, and he is asked to read it, he will say, 'I cannot read.'" So here the Muslims claim that this is speaking of Muhammad because he is the illiterate prophet. But I have shown in other areas that Muhammad is indeed not illiterate, but I will keep that for another time. But I'm going to read this in context to explain what's actually going on here. So in Isaiah chapter 29, verse 1 through 14, it says, "Woe to Ariel, to Ariel." Now Ariel refers to the top of the altar which the priest burned the sacrifices. So this is speaking of within Jerusalem. This is speaking of Jerusalem itself, to be more specific. "The city where David camped continue year after year. Let the festivals reoccur. I will oppose Ariel, and there will be mourning and crying, and she will be to me like an Ariel. I will camp in a circle around you. I will besiege you with earth ramps, and I will set up siege towers against you. You will be brought down. You will speak from the ground, and your words will come from low in the dust. Your voice will be like that of a spirit from the ground. Your speech will whisper from the dust. Your many foes will be like fine dust, and many of the ruthless will be like blowing chaff. Then suddenly, in an instant, you will be punished by the Lord of armies." So we can see that this is a punishment against Jerusalem. It says, "You will be punished by the Lord of armies with thunder, earthquake, and loud noises, storms, tempest, and a flame of consuming fire. All the many nations going out to battle against Ariel, all the attackers, the siege works against her, and those who oppress her will then be like a dream, a vision in the night. It will be like a hungry one who dreams he is eating and then wakes and is still hungry, and like a thirsty one who dreams he is drinking and then wakes up and is still thirsty, longing for water. So it will be for all the many nations who go out to battle against Mount Zion." So here we have confirmation that it is indeed Jerusalem being spoken of, by the Lord will besiege Jerusalem with many nations. It says, "Stop and be astonished, blind yourselves and be blind. They are drunk, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with beer. For the Lord has poured out on you an overwhelming urge to sleep. He has shut your eyes, the prophets, and covered your heads, the seers. For you, the entire vision will be like the words of a sealed document. If it is given to one who can read, and he is asked to read it, he will say, 'I cannot read it because it is sealed.'" Verse 12, "And if the document is given to one who cannot read, and he is asked to read it, he will say, 'I cannot read.' The Lord said, 'These people approach me with their speech to honor me but they honor me with lip service, yet their hearts are far from me, and human rules direct their worship of me. Therefore I will again confound these people with wonder after wonder. The wisdom of their wise will vanish, and the perception of their perspective will be hidden." So, as I said, this is a judgment against Jerusalem for its sin. And specifically it says that the Lord will not allow the false prophets to be able to see the vision or interpret it or anything of that nature. And yet the Muslims want to claim that verse 12 speaks of Muhammad because the scroll is given to one who cannot read. Well, this is speaking specifically of when the Lord confounds the false prophets within Israel, because they are the ones who direct the worship of the people to not worship the Lord in spirit and truth, but just to worship them with their lips. So if the Muslims want to actually claim that this false prophet in verse 12 of chapter 29 is Muhammad, then by all means go for it. But then if you do that, you have condemned Muhammad as a false prophet.